So I've decided to do a little video about how to do the tongue trill properly. This is a little exercise I learned from the wonderful coach Gerald Martin Moore. I only had about 2 sessions with this wonderful guy, and this was years ago, but actually what he taught me really stayed with me. And one of those things was the tongue trill, which is really useful for keeping a relaxed jaw and a relaxed tongue. And when I say relaxed tongue, I don't of course mean that you have a complete lisp, like when you're pronouncing as you sing, but it should be relaxed in the right way and certainly not tense in the back of it. So the tongue is a very long muscle and you don't want the back of it to get stiff. That's especially important in singing. It's really the tip of the tongue that does most of the pronunciation, and the jaw should be unhinged and the back of the tongue should be relatively loose so that we have space in the back of the throat for our resonance. So here we go. So let's try, if we think about the tongue trill as a slightly more complicated version of the regular lip trill, right? So this is the lip trill. The thing is, it's hard to do the lip trill properly if we have a lot of tension in the jaw. If we're grinding our teeth, for example, if we're clenching the jaw, or if the back of the tongue is tense. But we can still get away with a little bit of that tension when we do the regular lip trill. If we have that excess tension when trying to do the tongue trill, which is this, we won't be able to do it. Basically what will happen, so just as an example, if I try to do the tongue trill with a little bit of tension, I'm going to add tension. I'm going to try to pull the tongue back slightly as I do it, and you'll see what happens. There's just abrupt stops that happen, right? So let's try that. So basically that is not working. What I was doing is I was thinking of drawing the back of the tongue muscle backwards slightly, and I wasn't even doing it a lot, and it just stopped the vibration from happening altogether. So you'll notice that a lot of people have trouble with the tongue trill because they have a really hard time, even when they're speaking, when they're pronouncing, they have a really hard time not engaging the jaw, not clenching the jaw slightly, so you'll feel like a little pinch here, and also not engaging the back of the tongue, which we want to actually relax, right? So if you actually think, so don't necessarily think of the tongue trill as the tongue being out entirely. You are relaxing the tongue outwards, but you're going to let it rest on the bottom lip, the inside of the bottom lip. You're just going to let it rest like this. And then you just think of what you do when you do the regular lip trill, but you're going to keep the mouth open and the tongue relaxed like that. So let's give it a try. I'll just demonstrate. So I'll start on any pitch. Doesn't really matter. Now it's very important, in order to do this correctly, to keep the muscles in the torso area expanding outwards, as is the proper thing to do in proper singing technique. So you don't want to squeeze in to try to push the air out. Otherwise, it's also just not going to work. It's not going to work as well, and you're going to expel your air very quickly, and you won't be able to do it for too long. Okay, so again, let's just start on any pitch, and why don't you try it with me? So relax the tongue. Feel like the jaw is unhinging right here. So right here, there should be no clenching, and this is right where the back teeth close that I'm talking about, right here. That should be unhinged. Then you're going to let the tongue out, and it's going to rest right against the bottom lip, okay? The inside of the bottom lip. So the tip of the tongue is resting against the inside of the bottom lip. Again. So try just to do a little slide. So you start on a kind of middle high note, and then go down into the chest voice. Again, let's do it together. So you can listen first and then give it a try. Okay, and then once you master that, so just do a few simple slides like that. Just notice it's fairly seamless when I do it, going from that mixed voice down into the chest voice. And the way I'm doing that is I'm keeping my torso muscles going in this direction, down and out. If you start to squeeze inwards, it's really hard to do that seamlessly and smoothly. So the same thing goes if you're doing like a little off topic, but if you're doing like an ooh, if you're going ooh, it's really hard to keep that seamless quality if the breath is not correct. So if the breath support is incorrect, it will be really hard to keep that seamless transition from middle mixed voice into the chest voice, and also vice versa. So if you're going from chest voice up into the mixed voice, same thing. You actually have to keep the breath support in the proper direction. So once you have mastered just slides, you know, going from the head voice down into the chest voice, from the mixed voice down into the chest voice, and then also vice versa, so going from the chest voice up into the mixed voice, then try like a 5-note scale. So similarly like we would do in a regular lip trill, so let's say I go like this with a lip trill. So try also now with the tongue trill. And if you are having trouble, if it stops abruptly, so if you're going, if this happens, then probably your breath support is not right. And at the same time, what's correlating with the breath support is the jaw is probably clenching. So you're not actually having the release in these muscles here. So it's impossible to get that nice, seamless, smooth flow of air and vibration. Okay, so this is unhinged, tongue out against the lower lip, the inside of the lower lip. So one thing you can do is what I just did. I felt like maybe the back of my neck is a little stiff. It's a little early in the morning for me. So I just very gently rock it back and forth like this. So not like this, okay? Because that's going to throw you off alignment from your instrument, right? So don't be aggressive with it. Just very gently, I want you to just rock it back and forth so that you, and also it will help align, just in case if you're slightly forward, like this. So if you're jutting the chin out, that's also not going to help. It's going to create a similar tension to clenching in the jaw. So just bring the head back a little bit. Remember this idea that you are a puppet and you have a string on the back top of your head, not the back middle of the head and not the back, not the front top of your head. Just imagine like if it was pulling this way, it would just bring your chin forward, right? So you have a string on the back top of the head. So it's allowing this proper spinal alignment to happen. So the chin is not jutting out when you're singing or doing any sort of vocal exercise, okay? So again, let's just, on any pitch here, I should have brought my keyboard, but anyway, so make sure the head is in the proper alignment, so it's easy to unhinge the jaw. Again, unhinge here, tongue out. All right, now that I've gone and looked all silly on camera here, just so you know, this exercise may sound silly, it may look silly, but it's really one of the, for myself, it was one of the biggest, most important exercises for me, because I happened to be a young singer that was jutting her chin out all the time. I was squeezing in with my rib cage whenever I was getting to very high notes. And I certainly had tension in the jaw, which perhaps is correlated with the fact that I do have TMJ issues. Thanks, Daddy. Probably genetically. But I've actually conquered those TMJ issues because I've managed to learn how to sing, keeping the jaw unhinged and not bringing it into play. At least not most of the time. Nobody's a perfect singer, so of course if you're a little tired, then sometimes these old habits kick in. But the most important thing is that you catch yourself. So if you become super bodily aware, as I like to teach my students, then you're going to catch yourself. You're going to feel like, oh, why am I clenching the jaw? Like 2 seconds after doing it. And then you can save yourself and release it. So I hope this helps. Please let me know if there's any other way I can clarify this tongue trill. It's not easy to do, neither is the regular lip trill. Some people do get it kind of just like that, but for most people it takes a lot of practice to master it. But I highly recommend mastering it, both the regular lip trill and the tongue trill. And then once you've mastered just doing the slides and then a 5-note scale, like I just demonstrated, then you can also practice actually doing any of your repertoire, any of your songs or arias on a lip trill or on a tongue trill. This can get a little tricky when you're going through very vast ranges, but if you can actually do that, then you're going to find that just singing it in general is going to be so much easier. Okay, so I hope that helped, and have a good day.